The Daughters of Union Veterans of the Civil War, DUVCW for short, is an not-for-profit organization for women, daughters, granddaughters, great-granddaughters who descend from an ancestor who fought in the Civil War on the Union side. And the dates for that would be 1861 to 1865, but it's for individuals who want to remember those ancestors who served and honor their service. One of the perks to joining this lineage society, opposed to some others like the Mayflower Society or DAR, if your ancestor served as a Union veteran or a Union soldier during the war, is that it's a little bit easier to work towards in a genealogy time frame, since you're only having to work as far back as like the mid-early 1800s to prove that ancestor who fought in this war, as opposed to working your way back to an ancestor who served during an earlier war in the 1700s or arrived, whether they arrived here on the Mayflower in the 1600s. It's a lot easier to connect the dots. I don't want to say always, but it just having fewer generations to prove between yourself here today and the 1800s, mid 1800s, is a lot easier. Is starting with yourself again. You'd want your birth and marriage records if you're married. You would want your parents' birth and marriage and death records if they were married, and if they are no longer living or deceased. So you'd want the primary vital records for each generation, starting with yourself up to your grandparents. And again, with this organization, you shouldn't have to work too far back. So grandparents and great grandparents, if you can compile those same records for each generation, going after you've submitted your parents, you don't necessarily need to submit both of their parents' birth and marriage and death records. You just submit the parents' parent that you're following their line of descent to the ancestor that served. So if it's your mother's ancestor, after you submit your mother and your father's documentation, you would then just submit her documentation. So if it was her mother's father who served in the war, then you would want her mother's birth and death records, but also the marriage record, if one exists, for her mother and father's marriage, if they were married. But that would be the only information you would need on the grandparent. So usually it's just those primary three vital records. When those aren't there, you can look for information that would connect those generations in newspapers, obituaries, and whatnot. But really, again, with this organization, they have individuals who can help you with the application and let you know what type of evidence is needed in the absence of a vital record document.